Hello YouTube, it's William. Got me a stick. Gonna do another whittle talk. And here lately it seems like I'm hung up on gear. I did a video of my new Frost River Isle Royale pack. Fantastic pack. And my kit that I had in it that I'm gonna be using this year, or at least trying a few times this year, and it may change because that's the thing about gear. It can change. But this whittle talk, I want to talk about a bug out bag and some things that I've heard comments made to me about some of my previous bug out bag videos, and also I've seen it mentioned other times on forums and different groups and things like that. So I'm going to give you my opinion on the weight versus functionality. Okay, let's just call it that. And need. Okay, now everybody's situation is different. You've heard me talk about bug out and my views on bug out. I think bug out is in a life and death situation. In other words, if you stay where you're at in your house, you cannot protect you or your family, and you fear for your life. So you have to leave. That would be the only reason I could think of for bug out. Okay? And there are situations like that that would call for you to bug out. I mean, for instance, if you were in town and there was a complete and total social breakdown, then you would want to take your family out of there. Now, however you leave there it depends on the situation. I mean, you know, if there was an EMP from the sun or a terrorist attack or something like that, and the only way you could get out of there was by bicycles or on foot, then that would dictate what your bug out would be. But if you could do a vehicle, then that would dictate that you could take a lot of stuff. So all of this is just in theory. And the only thing that we can do is sit here and whittle on a stick and think about the different scenarios and situations that could possibly happen. Because there's no way of any of us knowing what will happen or if it will ever happen. We're just preparing. We're doing the old Boy Scout motto, be prepared. Okay? So, with that said, my scenario is I have a mode of transportation. I have a boat. If I ever have to leave my house, which it would have to be pretty bad for me to leave my house, but if I had to leave my house, then my mode of transportation more than likely would be a boat. Second option would be a truck if that was possible, and the last resort would be on foot. Okay, so but with that said, I do have a pack that would handle just about any of those situations, or a multiple packs. If I was taking a boat, then I could take 2 or 3 packs. If I was taking a vehicle, then I could take 10 or 15 packs. So, you know, it just depends on the situation you're in and what has occurred that causes you to leave your home. Okay. It also dictates whether you have a family members or health situations for individuals. I mean, there's just a lot of things goes into this that one person sitting in a chair whittling on a stick can't tell you what to do. Okay? All we can do is bring up these ideas and let you think about your situation and you decide what you should do. But let's get back to the weight issue. I'm kind of off on a rabbit trail here, but let's kind of zero in on this weight. Someone has inevitably, when somebody shows a pack, it comes up as, well, that's too heavy. There's no way you can manage that. Well, it depends on their mode of transportation or conveyance. Maybe it's winter time and they're using a sled. Maybe they have a dog team. You know, how do we know unless they tell us? But let's think about this. There was one comment that was made on one of my bug out scenarios that said that you have too many knives, which I don't think is possible, but let's just think about that for a minute. And let's use knives as an example. I mean, we could throw food into that situation. We could throw traps into that situation. We could throw blankets into that situation. Any type of gear would fit in this scenario. But again, we're going to use the example of knives. If there was a bug out situation where you had to leave your home, otherwise you cannot protect yourself or your family, then my thought is I would want to take as much as I could of everything. Now, I wouldn't want to get myself to where I was so overburdened that I couldn't walk out the door, but just follow along with me a second. As much as possible, I would like to pack and take with me, because if it is an economic collapse, then more than likely we're going to be falling back to a barter system. So you can take those extra blades that you have, extra knives, and you could barter them for something else that you need: salt, sugar, coffee, whatever that good is that you need. You could trade that to someone else for whatever you need. You could take that extra blanket and trade it for something that you need, food, or whatever it might be. So I don't know that you could ever have too much gear. They said, well, it's too much weight, you can never carry it all. Okay. Once you reach that point on the trail that you say, I cannot carry this any longer, then you have a choice at that point. But if you leave it at the house, you don't have that option. You see what I'm saying? So take whatever you can while you're strong, while you're healthy, and take it with you. Once later on, if you're weak from lack of food, dehydrated, whatever the case may be, you can make that decision at that point of what to leave. Or maybe you could trade it to someone else for something lighter that you could carry. Because regardless of what people says and what you see in the movies of one guy going down the road with a backpack and he's bugging out, that's not going to be the situation. There's going to be hundreds of people on that road. So self-protection and things like that is a necessity. But other things like that, extra goods and blankets and tangible things that you could use as a barter situation is something that we all should really consider. Because God forbid if that situation ever occurred, then there's going to be a lot of people in the same situation we're in and got the same plan. They may not be as prepared as you are. So that's the key. We're trying to get as prepared as possible for any situation. Okay? So I just wanted to mention that while you're strong, while you're healthy, take as much goods as possible. Whether you're going to need it or not, you can use it for bartering later on. And then once you get to a point to where you're too weak, or if the situation dictates that you can no longer carry that extra food or that extra knife or that extra blanket or whatever you took extra with you, then you can decide to leave it at that point or trade it for something. Okay, just a thought. So until the next one, you guys get in the backyard, whittle on a stick. Think about these things, because whether we want to admit it or not, I think most people are conscious that something is definitely wrong. We don't know what it is. Can't put our finger on it, but there's just a feeling that of dread and anxiety that something is about to happen around the corner, and I don't know what it is. I mean, this could go on this way for another 2 or 3 years. I just don't think it can go along this way indefinitely. And it's not the political arena, because I mean, we've been headed toward this inevitable collapse of the economy for a long time. I mean, really, ever since we were taken off the gold standard, really, since we started creating fiat money, it was all in the plans. So we just cannot continue on this road. It will collapse at some point. Now, what does that entail? I don't know. Does it mean a Mad Max scenario? I don't know. I just think that we need to be prepared for whatever situation we can dream up. If we can sit in the backyard, whittle on a stick, and think about it, then we should be prepared for whatever we dream up. Okay? So, that's my 2 cents on it. Don't be concerned with weight. Take as much as possible with you while you're strong. When you get weak, then you can barter that material or goods or equipment that you don't need, that's not necessities. You can barter it away for food or shelter or whatever you will need at that point. Okay, but don't go ultra light with seal nylon and disposable equipment that's not going to last you very long in a bug out scenario. Get good equipment. Okay, don't short yourself because you're concerned about weight. Be realistic. Don't get you a 300 pound pack, but be realistic with it. I think anywhere between 50 and 80 pounds is realistic. It depends on your physical conditioning and also your health. So think about this. I would say get in the backyard, whittle on a stick, and really turn these scenarios into your mind. What if this happened? What if there was an EMP? What would I do? If I didn't have my mode of transportation, my primary mode of transportation for bug out, what would I do? What do I plan on taking with me? What is extra? What is barter material? Do I have skills that I can barter with? Should I learn more skills to barter with? Can I make a knife on the fly? Could I take a piece of scrap iron in a fire and make a knife on a makeshift rock or whatever? And think about your skills. I mean, if you're a mechanic and there's an EMP, there's not going to be much demand for a mechanic or an electrician. If you're a carpenter, then you need to make sure that you know about hand tools. Really sit and think about this, because folks, there has been some speculation that all of this is going to start in the fall. Now, whether it happens or not, I don't know. Nobody knows. Well, there may be a few that know. Seems like our government is planning on something because there's too many odd things happening. And I don't want to get into conspiracy theories and all this other stuff, but when there is news of the Federal Reserve moving from New York City to Chicago for fear of a natural disaster, that should raise some eyebrows, and that was in the New York Times. When Cheyenne Mountain is refurbished and reopened and becomes operational no later than September of this year, because of fear from a natural disaster or an EMP attack, we should sit up and take notice. When we have an unprecedented exercise with our military on our soil covering the lower southern parts of the United States for 3 months, and I don't care what anybody says, this is not normal. This is not normal. The amount of vehicles that's been relocated and the amount of personnel that's been relocated does not fit the scenario that they're talking about or they publicize. So we should set up and take notice. So get prepared. Get your bug out bags in order. Now, I didn't want this to be a long video, so I'm just going to sit here and whittle on my stick, enjoy the breeze of the afternoon, or maybe it's noon, don't know, and get back out in the shop here in just a little bit after I eat lunch. But think about this. Get in the backyard, whittle on a stick. If you do, take a child with you. Teach that child how to whittle on a stick. Young man, young woman. Take plenty of Band-Aids with you and lots of knives. You can always barter them away, trade them for something. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.